Okay, so looking at the problem you're asking on is this one here, and they actually look like the same. One of them is just kind of showing your work. Um, this is one of those problems where you're going to kick yourself, but hopefully it's the one time where you're going to say you're going to make this mistake, and then you're never going to make it again. So you correctly identified product rule. You saw, something multiplying something else, and you said a function of x multiplying a function of x. Fantastic. Let's do the derivative of the first and leave the second factor alone. So you did the derivative of the first factor right here. I will highlight that in blue. This factor you did the derivative of perfectly. Okay, then you left the second factor alone. So great. So that is v prime w plus. Now leave your first factor alone. Now do the derivative of the second one. That's where we got to focus on right here. It's just the derivative of the second factor right here. That guy right there. So let's pull that off to the side, and let's do the derivative of it. So this is y equals 9e to the x plus 1. All right, so the derivative of this is quite simple. Not easy, but simple. And so let's take it one piece at a time. So you correctly identified that we have one derivative here plus another derivative here. So because we do derivatives by terms. So the first term here is the derivative of 9 times e to the x. And because you wrote the natural log, and that tells me you recognized that this is an exponential function, which is perfect. So we have to remember, what is the derivative of an exponential function? And that rule, the derivative of an exponential function is, so where a is just any number, is a to the x times the natural log of the base. So in this case, we have the easier situation, though, where it's the derivative of e to the x. And this is the one special case where it's easy, because the derivative of e to the x is just like the general rule. It's itself times the natural log of the base. And the natural log of e is 1. So therefore, that means our derivative is just equal to e to the x. So now in your case, we don't have e to the x by itself. We have e to the x multiplying 9. And so therefore, how do you do the constant multipliers rule for derivatives? It just says the constant stays there, and you do the derivative as if it weren't there at all. So if you pretend that 9 wasn't there, you'd say, how do I do the derivative of e to the x? Well, it's e to the x. So therefore, that term, after you do the derivative, is 9 e to the x. And if you wanted to, you could write times the natural log of e, but the natural log of e, as we already discussed, is 1. So okay, so the derivative of this term, as we were saying, is 9e to the x, and then now we have plus 1. So the derivative of plus 1 is 0. So therefore, that term would just be 9e to the x. So the only thing that needs fixing is this piece right here, because that came from the derivative of that term. So therefore, it's not natural log of 9. No, 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 no. That should be, as we just did over here, this should just be 9e to the x. Okay, kind of long-winded explanation, but I hope that gets you whatever you need.